Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are stepping into a world that I think a lot of us might have visited in our imaginations, but maybe haven't really analyzed with the level of rigor it actually demands.
We're going to Xanth.
We are going to Xanth. It's a place that, gets dismissed sometimes as light fantasy because of all the humor.
But when you actually peel back the layers, and we're really going to peel them back today, it's a fascinating study in linguistic determinism.
That's a very fancy way of saying that in this world, puns aren't just jokes.
No, not at all. They are the fundamental laws of physics.
So if you say something is a stumble block, you aren't using a metaphor.
You're describing a literal physical cube of matter that is, geologically predisposed to tripping people. It's its entire purpose for existing.
Or a shoe tree. It's not an organizer for your closet.
It's a photosynthetic organism that grows footwear. The language, it literally defines reality there.
Which makes it an incredibly fun, but also a really, really dangerous place to live. But for this deep dive, we're not just sightseeing. We are looking at one specific text.
Crewel Lye, a Caustic Yarn by Piers Anthony.
And right off the bat, that title, we have to unpack that because it really sets the thematic stage for everything we're going to talk about.
It absolutely does. It's a pun, obviously, but it's a triple-layered one.
Okay, break it down for us.
So crewel is a type of twisted yarn, right, for embroidery, and lye is a caustic chemical cleaner, potassium hydroxide usually.
So caustic yarn. A yarn that burns or cleanses?
Exactly. That's the literal level. But then you have the phonetic level.
A crewel lie.
A crewel lie. And that concept, the crewel lie, is the engine of the entire narrative. We're going to see how deception, both, the malicious kind and the well-intentioned kind, shapes the entire life of our protagonist.
And our mission here is really interesting. We're looking at the backstory of a ghost named Jordan.
Yeah, if you've read the wider Xanth series, you know Jordan. He's this barbarian ghost who haunts Castle Runia. He's like part of the furniture.
He's a fixture. But this deep dive is about how he got there. We're going to explore the mechanics of memory, the biology of regeneration, and the physics of a world where magic is just, it's like the air you breathe.
And we're going to analyze the nature of heroism through the lens of a guy who is, frankly, a bit of a meathead.
He is, isn't he? He's a barbarian.
He is, but to survive in Xanth, even as this, muscle-bound guy, he has to become a tactician. He has to use lateral thinking in ways that are just brilliant.
So let's set the scene. We start with our framing device, this character named Ivy.
She's a little girl, she's a sorceress, and she is bored out of her mind.
The universal catalyst for every great adventure, right? Boredom.
Exactly. She's grounded at Castle Runia. And we should probably mention her talent. In Xanth, everyone has a unique magical talent.
Ivy's is enhancement.
Right. She can make plants grow faster, she can make someone stronger, or in this specific case, she can make images clearer, which is, very convenient for the plot.
She's stuck inside, and she starts getting obsessed with what she calls the idiot cloth.
The tapestry, it's a huge magical artifact that displays the history of Xanth. You should think of it like a 4K television that hasn't been dusted in 400 years.
It's fuzzy, it's dirty, you can't really make anything out. And while she's trying to watch this history channel, she meets Jordan the ghost.
And Jordan has been dead for 400 years. The real tragedy here, the thing that kicks it all off, is that he can't remember his own life.
He knows he died from a crewel lie, but the details are just gone. He's a ghost with amnesia.
And this tells us something about how memory works in Xanth. It seems to be physical, or at least it can be anchored to physical representations.
So because the tapestry is physically dirty, the information it holds is degraded?
Exactly. The history is literally obscured by grime. Ivy realizes that to help Jordan remember who he was, she has to physically clean the past.
Which leads us right into our first big segment, the mechanics of memory and travel. Because she can't just use, soap and water.
No, this is Xanth. You need a specific magical cleaning agent. But she's grounded. She can't leave the castle.
This is where we get our first really deep look at the physics of what they call the gourd world.
Jordan suggests she use an old nightmare shoe that he knows is just lying around in the cellar.
Okay, let's unpack the nightmare shoe. Because on the surface, it sounds like complete nonsense.
But it's brilliant, really, when you think about the ecology. A nightmare in Xanth isn't just a bad dream.
It's a horse, a biological entity.
Precisely. It's an equine creature that delivers bad dreams. It's a courier service for nightmares.
And the packages it delivers are dreams. Contained in what?
In hypnogourds. Dreams are physically contained in these gourds, so the nightmare has to physically interact with these gourds to pick up the dream payload and then, deliver it to a sleeper's mind.
So the shoe is a tool.
It's a phase-shifting device. The iron shoe allows a nightmare, or in this case, a little girl holding it, to make the rind of a gourd pervious.
Pervious, meaning she can pass right through it.
Right. It alters the molecular density of the wall. It lets her slip between the atoms of the gourd and enter the gourd world.
And this isn't just like the inside of a pumpkin.
Well, the gourd world is a kind of hyperspace. It's a tunnel network that connects all the gourds in Xanth. It's the subway system of the collective unconscious.
So Ivy grabs the shoe, finds a gourd, and just jumps in. And this journey is wild because the environments inside these gourds represent the psychological states of the dreams they deliver.
It's a psychological gauntlet for a little kid. She falls into a candy garden first.
Which sounds amazing.
It's a trap. It's pure temptation. It's gluttony. Everything is edible, peppermint stick trees, chocolate rocks. But if she stops to eat, she gets stuck there. It's the lotus eater myth, but weaponized with sugar.
She has to resist the urge to consume just to keep moving.
Then she ends up in a bug house.
Literally a house full of bugs. Yes, this is pure primal fear of infestation. It's a very common nightmare scenario. She has to navigate a room where the furniture, the walls, everything is just crawling.
And then the final garden. A garden of horrors.
A child's nightmare of nutrition. Spinach, turnips, and a lake made of castor oil.
And to a kid, a lake of castor oil is a fate worse than death. But she uses the shoe again here, right?
She does. She touches the shoe to the surface of the lake. And just like with the gourd rind, it makes the liquid surface pervious.
She can pass through it.
She slips through the surface of the liquid like it's a veil, and it pops her out of the gourd world and into the real world, right near the good magician Humphrey's castle.
So she basically just shortcutted through the collective unconscious of vegetables to break her grounding.
That's some innovative rule breaking.
But getting to Humphrey's castle isn't easy either. She has to cross the moat, and here we see more of that literal language creating physical obstacles. She finds stepping stones.
Now, in our world, stepping stones are just, rocks you step on. In Xanth, these are stones that step. They're kinetic.
She throws them in the water, they expand, and they just start marching across the moat. She has to balance on them while they're moving. It's a real-life platforming puzzle.
Then she hits the dark lantern. I really want to understand the optics of this thing.
This is a fascinating inversion of physics. Usually, a lantern emits photons, right? Light energy.
This device emits darkness.
It radiates anti-light. It's not just blocking light, it's actively projecting shadow.
So it's like noise-canceling headphones, but for your eyes.
That's a perfect way to put it. When Ivy encounters a region of blinding light, which is a defense mechanism of the castle, she turns on the dark lantern. The darkness rays cancel out the light rays.
And it creates a gradient of gray she can see in.
It's a philosophical point made manifest, isn't it? To navigate blinding dogmatism, you need a little bit of obscurity. You have to balance the extremes to find the path.
That is surprisingly deep for a scene involving a magical lantern. And then we meet the kitty hawk.
A hybrid creature, part cat, part hawk. And it's at war with itself.
It's fighting itself.
That's the biological instability of these kinds of hybrid creatures in Xanth. The cat half wants to pounce and stalk, the hawk half wants to swoop and dive.
And as it gets more agitated.
The two natures intensify and they conflict. It essentially short circuits, it spins out of control and just crashes. It's a lesson in internal coherence. You can't be two opposing things at maximum intensity without self-destructing.
Ivy survives because the predator defeats itself.
But my favorite obstacle, I think, has to be the headstone.
Ah, yes, the sentry.
A literal living stone head that guards the path, and it shouts, "Intruder alert!"
And that summons a giant hairbrush for a brush-off.
It's a defensive mechanism based entirely on slang. A brush-off means rejection, but here it's a physical assault by a giant grooming tool.
Which sounds ridiculous, but I mean, a 5-foot hairbrush made of wood could definitely break some bones.
Oh, absolutely. But Ivy's solution here is pure genius. It's that lateral thinking. She doesn't fight it.
No. She uses the environment. She finds a dead Luna moth earlier on her journey.
And she buries it at the base of the headstone. Now, we have to understand the magic of the specific headstone. It takes on the characteristics of whatever is buried next to it.
So by burying the moth,
It shifts from being this loud-mouthed old man's head to being a stone moth. Moths are silent. They don't shout, "Intruder alert." She disables the alarm system by changing the biological template of the sentry.
Incredible. So she finally gets to Magician Humphrey, who's currently a child because of some age reversal magic, which is a whole other deep dive.
It really is. And she gets the recipe for Crewel Lye.
And she uses a copycat to copy the recipe.
A cat that sits on the paper and then extrudes a perfect copy with its tongue.
Again, the literalism. But the key here is the pun. Crewel Lye, a caustic yarn. Ivy makes this mixture. She gets back to Castle Runia, cleans the tapestry.
And suddenly the fuzziness is gone. The image becomes crystal clear, and Jordan's memory is restored.
And this is where the deep dive really shifts gears. The frame story is done. We are going back 400 years to Jordan's life.
We leave the magical domesticity of Ivy's world, and we plunge into the raw, barbarian wilderness of Xanth's past.
Jordan is a barbarian. And in Xanth, that's almost a biological classification. He's from a place called Fen Village.
And he has a talent. Everyone has a unique magical ability.
What's Jordan's?
His is arguably one of the most tactical talents you could ever want as an adventurer.
Where?
Rapid regeneration. He heals almost instantly.
And I want to be specific about the rate of healing here. We're not talking about a cut healing in a week like, Wolverine in the movies.
Oh, no, it's much faster. If he gets a cut, the skin seals itself in seconds. If he loses a limb, an arm, or a leg, it grows back in a matter of hours.
And if he's killed, eviscerated, heart stopped,
he recovers in about a day.
That changes everything about how you approach danger, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It has to fundamentally alter your entire psychology.
Completely. Pain becomes a temporary inconvenience. Death becomes a nap. It allows for a level of recklessness that really defines his character.
And you could argue it actually arrests his emotional development.
I think you have to. He never has to learn caution, so he never really learns foresight or planning.
Which brings us to his relationship with Elsie.
Elsie is his girlfriend back in the village. She wants him to settle down, get married, She wants to tame his wild oats.
But Jordan is bored. He leaves her because she offers safety. And for a man who is biologically immortal when it comes to physical trauma, safety is the most boring thing in the world.
And this is where we encounter the first cruel lie of the story. He promises Elsie he'll return.
Knowing deep down he probably won't.
He chooses the adventure, the unknown, over the known, and that choice leads him directly to the puka.
The puka is such a striking image. This ghost horse, rattling chains, haunting the night.
But again, let's look at the biology of it. Even though it's a ghost, it's semi-solid. It has to eat, it has mass, it leaves footprints. It's not just an apparition.
And Jordan decides, I'm going to catch that thing.
And the chase sequence that follows is basically a tour of Xanth's weirdest ecology.
They run past these berries.
Poisonous twin berries. Jordan is smart enough not to eat them, but he pockets them for later. And that's pure foreshadowing. He's gathering resources.
He doesn't know what they do yet, but he knows they're dangerous. And in Xanth, a dangerous item is just a weapon you haven't figured out how to aim yet.
Beautifully put. Then we see the food chain in action. The puka, this fearsome ghost horse, is being chased by a roc, a giant bird.
And here we see the first sign of Jordan's, his moral code. He could just let the roc eat the horse and walk away. Problem solved.
But he doesn't. He shoots the roc. He saves the puka. But then the roc, in its death throes, scoops up Jordan.
And drops him from a massive height.
Here?
This is where we see that regeneration talent in action for the first time in his story.
He hits the ground. His legs are just crushed, shattered into powder. In any other story, the hero is crippled for life. That's the end of the adventure.
For Jordan, it's a timeout.
He just passes out for an hour. His body uses that downtime to knit the bones back together. When he wakes up, he's sore, but he's functional.
It just emphasizes that in Xanth, biology is incredibly malleable. So the chase continues, and it leads them to a bog, where they meet a lone shark.
A literal shark swimming in the mud, demanding an arm and a leg.
I love that Jordan's response just to threaten to cut off its fin. He's like, I have a sword, you have a pun. I think I win this one.
But the puka gets stuck in the muck. It's bogged down, it's surrounded by these sharks, and there's a firewall approaching.
A literal wall of flame moving across the landscape.
And this is the turning point in their relationship. Jordan could leave. He's basically indestructible. The puka isn't. If the fire hits Jordan, he burns, dies, and wakes up tomorrow.
But if the fire hits the ghost horse,
it might be permanent, or at least Jordan thinks it is. So he stays. He dives into the muck. He uses the puka's own chains, the very symbols of its ghostly curse, to haul it to safety under the firewall.
It's a true symbiosis forming. The barbarian provides the tactical thinking and the opposable thumbs. The horse provides the speed and endurance.
And that bond is solidified later when Jordan is killed by monsters. The puka doesn't run away. It comes back for him.
It shifts from predator and prey to partners. But we have to talk about those monsters that killed him, the Kelikanzari.
These things are absolute nightmares.
They're subterranean creatures who, their whole deal is undermining the roots of the world trees.
The trees that literally hold up the sky, they are agents of entropy trying to bring the whole world crashing down.
And they are dumb, they smell awful, and they hate sunlight.
Jordan's encounter with them is brutal, and we have to be clear here to really understand the rating of this story. It's not all fun and games.
No, it's not. They decapitate him, they eviscerate him, and they eat his internal organs.
It's incredibly graphic, especially for a world that runs on pun-based magic.
But it serves a purpose, right?
Yeah.
It demonstrates the absolute limits and the incredible power of his talent.
It does. He wakes up in a cooking pot. His body has already regrown his stomach and his liver from the surrounding muscle tissue. He's weaker. He's lost mass because that matter has to come from somewhere, but he is alive.
And he escapes by tipping over the pot and just riding the wave of water out of the cave.
It's absurd and horrifying at the same time. And I think that's the essence of Xanth, the juxtaposition of the whimsical and the grotesque.
So after escaping the underground, Jordan and the puka run into goblins.
And the goblins in this era are just swarming the surface. They use a stinkhorn, a fungus that emits a specific odor, to summon the entire horde.
And Jordan uses a lance tree branch, again, literal plant weaponry, to bowl them down the mountain path.
It's essentially large-scale bowling with goblins as the pins. But tactically, it's a brilliant denial of area strategy. He clogs the main path with goblin bodies, which forces the rest of them into a tunnel.
And it forces the narrative forward. They can't go back. They are pushed deeper into the mountain, into the next ecological zone.
Which brings us to the elves.
Now, elven sociology in Xanth is really distinct. These are the flower elves. They're small, about a quarter of human size.
And they live in this intense symbiosis with their trees.
Jordan's is terrified of them, or at least he's very respectful, because unlike goblins, they're organized.
They have a covenant with humans. It's basically mutual non-aggression. And Jordan is welcomed as a guest because he's honest. He just tells them his story without any embellishment. He's a barbarian. He doesn't try to impress them.
But the coolest part here is the physics of the elf film. This is a concept that I wish more fantasy series would just steal.
It's a localized physics distortion field. It's amazing. The elves are incredibly weak when they are far from their home tree, but as they get closer to the trunk of the elf elm, their strength increases exponentially.
There's this great demonstration where, like, 12 elves can't even lift a log a few hundred feet away from the tree.
But then one single elf standing right next to the trunk can lift the log, and Jordan, with one hand, easily.
It suggests the elves function like rechargeable batteries that charge wirelessly from the tree.
And their entire society is built around that biological dependency. They protect the tree because the tree is the literal source of all their kinetic energy.
And then things get reproductive. We have to talk about the accommodation spell.
This is a wild bit of magic. Bluebell, who's an elf maiden, wants a baby, a halfling, but Jordan is massive compared to her.
So she invokes a spell that equalizes their size.
Right. It shrinks Jordan down to 1/8 his normal size and grows her 8 times larger. It conserves mass within the system, but it redistributes it. It's fascinating.
And then they summon the stork.
Which is the literal mechanical process for reproduction in Xanth. You summon a stork, it brings you a bundle of joy. There's no biology involved in the conception, only in the delivery.
But before Jordan leaves, they get a prophecy from an augur, an old elven woman.
And it's ominous. Doomed by a cruel lie, but you will find true love after death.
It just reinforces that central theme. Jordan is walking toward a tragedy. He's a tragic hero in what is, on the surface, a comedic world. He knows the end is coming, but he has no idea what form it will take.
Which makes his next adventure even more interesting.
Right, so moving on, Jordan leaves the elves, and he finds a wounded stork.
This whole segment explores the physics of magic as it applies to, of all things, delivery services. The stork has a broken wing, and it's carrying a bundle of joy.
Which turns out to be an ogret, a baby ogre.
And a baby ogre is born hostile. It's hairy, it has a grip like a vice, and it's teething on iron chains.
So Jordan ends up having to carry this thing, and it's biting him. It's biting the puka's chains. But they have to deliver it. How do they even know where to go?
The bundle has an address tag, but it's not written text. It's a magical homing beacon. It flashes when it's facing the direction of the parents.
The binary compass, flash means yes, dark means no.
Exactly. And to deliver it, they have to cross dragon country. And here we get a whole taxonomy of dragons. In Xanth, dragons aren't just fire breathers.
No, that would be too simple. There are smokers, steamers, water dragons, and fire breathers. It's all about evolutionary diversity.
And Jordan's tactics here are brilliant. He doesn't just hack and slash. He fights a smoker dragon first.
Right. A smoker breathes this blinding, choking smoke. And Jordan realizes he can't fight what he can't see, so he rams his sword up the dragon's nostril and into its brain.
It's gross, but it's effective.
But here's the chemistry part I love. When the smoker bleeds and breathes smoke at the same time, the blood mixes with the smoke to create smog.
He weaponizes a chemical reaction. He creates a cloud of heavy pollution that grounds the other flying dragons.
And when the fire breather chases them later, Jordan tricks it into torching the smoker's tail. He's constantly using the environment and the enemies against each other.
But the biggest environmental challenge is the gap chasm.
This is a massive geographical feature that everyone seems to have forgotten about because of a series of memory spells called the gap spells.
The physics here are completely mind-bending. The gap is a deep canyon, but the river doesn't flow into the canyon and fill it up.
No, it flows down one cliff face, across the bottom, and then up the other side.
Wait, explain the gravity on that.
In the gap, gravity adheres to the water's flow, not to the planetary core. As long as you are physically touching the water, down is whatever direction the current is flowing.
So Jordan and the puka have to walk down a vertical cliff face.
By wading in the river. To an observer on the rim, they're walking on a wall. To Jordan, he feels like he's walking on a flat riverbed. But if he steps out of the water,
Gravity reverts to normal, and he falls to his death.
it's a terrifying balancing act. And to make it worse, the water is full of cold fish.
A literal cold fish.
They lower the temperature of the water to freezing. Jordan is freezing to death.
And this is where Jordan uses the ogre. This is the moment that I just laughed out loud. He dunks the baby ogre into the freezing water.
And the ogre hates water. It gets mad. It throws a tantrum.
And rage generates heat. It's pure thermodynamics. The anger of the baby ogre literally heats the water, driving away the cold fish and creating a warm bubble for them to travel in.
It is a practical application of emotion to energy conversion. It's incredible.
They finally get across and deliver the baby to the ogre parents.
Which is a violent affair. The parents just start throwing boulders at them as a thank you.
But in ogre culture, that's practically a hug. The delivery is complete.
So after all that, Jordan finally reaches his destination, Castle Ronya.
And it is an absolute wreck.
We're now in the State of the Kingdom segment. The orchard is overgrown. The trees are actively hostile. They're bombing him with rocks.
And it all reflects the state of the king. King Gromden is old, he's sick, he's possibly senile. In a lot of fantasy literature, you have the Fisher King trope, where the health of the land mirrors the health of the king.
Here, it's literal. The castle's dilapidated because the king's magical projection of order and stability is fading.
Jordan meets the king, who is barely lucid, and he finally learns about the contest.
The succession crisis. There are two magicians vying for the throne, Magician Yin and Magician Yang.
Yin is white, Yang is black, good and evil.
Or so it appears. This is really where the story starts to deconstruct that simple binary.
Yin explains the rules. They can't fight each other directly because they are equal and opposite. Their magic would just cancel out. So they need a proxy, a hero.
They need Jordan.
He has to go fetch a secret object. Yin gives him a bag of 7 spells to help him, and Yang, supposedly, will set 7 traps to stop him.
Okay, let's break down this toolbox of spells, because this is the core mechanic of the climax. It feels like a loadout in a video game.
It is. It's a perfectly balanced system.
Yeah.
First, you have the compass. Yin provides a finder spell. Yang provides a lost spell, equal and opposite.
Second, shield versus sword. Yin's spell protects, Yang's kills. Pretty straightforward.
Third is the vine. Yin's vine grants IQ, or intelligence. Yang's vine causes idiocy.
Fourth, the monster. Yin gives him a figurine that can banish monsters. Yang can summon a Tarask, a legendary unstoppable beast.
Fifth is the doll. Yin's doll can restore a damaged body. Yang's doll can swap your identity with someone else's.
Sixth is stone. Yin turns stone to flesh. Yang turns flesh to stone.
And finally, the skull. Yin's spell is life. Yang's is death.
It seems like a fair game, checkers. You play a black piece, I play a white piece. Everything is balanced.
But here is where the Crewel Lye comes roaring back into the narrative. Yang appears and tries to bribe Jordan. He tells him the contest is rigged. He tells him to take a dive.
And Yin gives this very polished speech about how truth is not the opposite of untruth.
Which is a profound epistemological statement, right? Yin is saying, I am good, therefore I am telling the truth. But Yang is saying, I am evil, but I am telling you the facts of the situation.
The magicians are playing a much deeper game than Jordan realizes. They're manipulating him not just with magic, but with information itself.
And Jordan, being the stubborn barbarian that he is, refuses to quit. He takes the bag of spells and heads up the mountain to find the object.
And we reach the climax, the mountain of flesh.
They climb up into the snow zone, and first, they get hit with these hallucinations.
The snowflakes are described as being these large, intricate fractals. And just looking at them causes the brain to misfire. Jordan starts seeing bridges that aren't there. He's seeing snow fairies.
And the puka saves him.
Oh.
Because the puka is an animal. It doesn't analyze the fractals, it just sees snow. But the key moment is when the puka speaks to him, it shouts, don't walk there.
And Jordan realizes, wait a minute, horses don't talk. If the horse is talking, I must be hallucinating.
It's a logic puzzle. He uses the sheer impossibility of the situation to ground himself back in reality.
Then the snow snakes attack. Invisible white snakes in the snow. Jordan manages to kill them by the light of his fire. Their shadows reveal them. But then he finds it, the black compass.
The loser's spell. He picks it up, and instantly he forgets where he's going. His mind is just wiped of all direction.
So following the rules of the game, he reaches into his bag and invokes the white compass, the finder's spell. He's expecting a needle to point north. Right.
And this is the twist. This is where the physics of magic goes horribly, horribly wrong.
Describe what happens here, because the text shifts from this, quirky fantasy adventure to something out of a Cronenberg body horror movie very, very fast.
It's instantaneous. One moment, he is standing on solid granite and ice. The next, the ground beneath his feet softens. It becomes warm. It starts to pulse like there's a heartbeat under him.
He turned the entire mountain into a person.
He turned the mountain into flesh. Not a person, just raw biological tissue. Muscles, sinew, fat. But you have to imagine the scale of that. We're talking about millions of tons of rock instantly converting into biomass.
But why? What happened?
Because the spells were switched or manipulated. The finder spell wasn't a compass spell at all. It was the stone to flesh spell from the sixth pair.
The contest was a sham.
It was a total setup, and the physics of that are terrifying. Rock is rigid, meat is squishy.
So a mountain, which holds its shape because of the structural integrity of stone.
It starts to slump, it starts to slide under its own immense weight, and worse, it has nerves now.
It can feel.
It wakes up, it has no eyes, no brain, just a massive mountain-sized nervous system that is suddenly screaming in confusion and agony. It starts to thrash.
The source mentions it knocks stars out of the sky.
That's the scale of the convulsion. The heaving of this flesh mountain is so violent it creates shock waves that disrupt the celestial sphere. In Xanth, the stars are small and close, but still, he is literally shaking the cosmos.
And all this shaking starts fires.
Friction, plus the falling stars. So now you have a mountain of meat writhing in agony with forest fires raging on its flanks. Jordan and the puka are sliding down this slippery, bloody flesh surface. It's a chaotic, writhing disaster.
They're trapped. Fire on one side, a cliff on the other, a waterfall rushing down.
So Jordan uses his demolition skills. He still has some cherry bombs and a pineapple, literal explosive fruits he gathered earlier, and he uses them to blast a new channel in the flesh.
He diverts the melting waterfall directly onto the fire.
He creates a safe, cooled path of scorched, wet flesh and slides down the mountain to safety.
But the realization hits him at the bottom. The contest is rigged. All the spells were traps. If he had used the shield against the sword, maybe it would have turned him into a potted plant.
Exactly. Who knows? He survives, but the mission is a bust. The mountain is destroyed, the object is lost forever, and he realizes he's just been played.
And that brings us to the outro and the big picture.
So what does this all mean? Jordan started as a bored ghost. He gets to relive his entire life. He saw himself as this great hero.
But was he a hero? He survived impossible biology. He outsmarted dragons. He delivered a very angry baby ogre. But in the final, most important test, he was a pawn.
The Crewel Lye.
It's the central theme.
The Crewel Lye isn't just the lie he told Elsie about coming back. It isn't just the lie Yang told about the contest being rigged, which was actually the truth. It's the structural lie of the entire scenario.
Jordan believed that if he played by the rules, white versus black, good versus evil, he could win.
But the game was never about winning. It was about entertainment for the magicians.
Which brings us to that final provocative thought. If Magician Yin, who is good, and Magician Yang, who is evil, are equal and opposite, and both of them are participating in this rigged game, then is there actually a difference between them?
It's a heavy thought, isn't it? If good manipulates you just as much as evil does, aren't they just two sides of the same manipulative coin?
It suggests that true heroism in this world isn't about winning the contest you're given. It's about surviving the rigging.
Jordan's real victory wasn't getting the object. It was surviving the mountain of flesh. It was saving the puka. It was the relationships he built along the way, not the goal that he was assigned by someone else.
Jordan's journey teaches us that the map is not the territory. The label good or hero is just a label. The reality is the messy, flesh mountain struggle underneath.
And sometimes the only way to win is to realize the compass is broken, throw it away, and find your own way down the mountain.
On that note, we're going to leave you to think about your own maps. Are you following a compass that's actually going to turn your world into a mountain of meat?
Always check your spells before you cast them.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.